All right, just in time, right on time. Celestial rising, great afternoon, and good night to the beautiful deity watching this video. It's your divine reflection, divine messenger. I'm about another message to understand. Before we even get into this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more divine messages. And I know y'all having a great day today. And as y'all can see by the title of this video, I'm trying to get this camera aligned and all that. So I do apologize for that sound. That was awful. But, as you can see, we are, getting aligned with Yakub and these races. And the thing is too, this video was inspired because I have a core audience of many people, like many ages. So this video was definitely inspired by this young generation, and I was watching their live, and one of them was talking about how, like, they were just talking about Yakub, they were talking about genetics, they were just talking about race. And throughout the whole conversation, throughout the whole live that I was watching, it was basically just white versus black. And the young brothers, they were talking about some deep shit for one. And it was just all a contradiction. It was all duality. And the thing is too, that's really the problem right there. And I don't want to waste too much time, but if you get offended by this video, then of course, then that shows you that everything I'm saying has some truth to it, and you're offended by that. And the thing is too, I'm neither right nor wrong. So throughout this whole video, somebody's going to miss that point. They're going to comment in the comment section talking about some, oh, you're this or you're that. They're going to say this or that. Either way, it does not matter, because I told you, I'm neither right nor wrong. And on top of that, it's all information. It's all open book information as well. So you can't get mad at me for the research that I did behind closed doors, because the knowledge that I'm teaching you or teaching myself through you is free for a reason. So you cannot get upset for what the Almighty did. On top of that, we are all the reflection of Yakub anyways. And if you want to be technical, Yakub is Satan. So it's a subconscious title placed upon Almighty God's thought process. So throughout this whole teaching that I'm going to teach myself through you, we are literally talking about how Almighty God enslaved people through race, basically. Not only that, all these ethnicities or these different skin colors or these hues of different men and one man combined together, it's all divine timing for what was about to happen for this lifetime as well. Because for one, before there was light, before there was white, yellow, red, whatever the case may be, there was always ether, there was always carbon, there was always matter. So before you were white, before you were Palestinian, before you were Asian, you were black, you were always a carbonated being. Let's get into this shit, man, because this shit is crazy. It's literally amazing how, let's go and get the screen recording going. Yes, sir, let's do this, man. All right, here we go. Yakub's birth. For one, Yakub, a scientist as a projection of your consciousness, was born 6,600 years ago on the island of Patmos. He possesses great knowledge and a large head, and look into the mirror, you'll see what I mean. On top of that, as you see in the title too, this was 4,000 something BCE, meaning before consciousness even existed, meaning that so when you were born, even back then, and that's the thing too, if you believe we're in 2024, you are under the impression of a spell. Not only that, that is true witchcraft. So somebody can say spirituality is witchcraft, somebody can say collecting crystals is witchcraft, somebody can say meditation is witchcraft. That is fine and dandy. But if you believe that it is August 8th, 2024, Lionsgate portal, by the way, but if you believe it's 2024, that is true witchcraft beyond imagination. So you cannot sit here and tell me that you don't even understand what this is even talking about, because you are Yakub. Meaning that before you became a different skin color or different ethnicity, you had this ego so that you can splice DNA, because you were so creative even back then. So basically a negative timeline. You were so creative at the Christ consciousness, you were able to wake up and you got so bored of your creation, you started to, let's just keep on going. No. So Patmos is mountainous and rocky with low hills and small plateaus, and a coastline with many gulfs that form bays and coves. The island's highest point is Prophetess Ilias. I probably said that wrong. It is what it is, which is 883 feet above sea level. The main communities on Patmos are Chora, the capital city, and Scala, the only commercial port. Other settlements include Griku and Campos. Patmos is famous for being a place where Saint John, one of Jeshua's 12 apostles, wrote the book of Revelation, also known as the Apocalypse, almost 2,000 years ago. The island is also home to the monastery of St. John, which was established in 1088, and includes original structures from the 11th century, such as a church of St. John, a museum and library, and fortifications. Number 2, discovery of genetic potential. I was like, how much do we got? Okay. So discovery of genetic potential. At a young age, you, Yakub, Satan, Prometheus, Zeus, Enki, Elil, whatever, Jesus, doesn't even matter, Atrahasis, doesn't matter. Yakub discovered that he can create a new race of people through selective breeding using the darker skinned 9 ether original beings of Tiamat. If you don't look like me, you are a 6 ether being. You probably do have some, melanin to you, but you are, so look like me or whoever else, you are a 9 ether being. But if you have a different skin color, different pigmentation, if you're lighter, that's the reason right there. You are a 6 ether being. On top of that, some people can transcend depending on their spiritual enlightenment, but it's all determines on how you treat yourself and your spirit, because we all can transcend. The Almighty does not care about your skin color when you go and ascend into the astros, to the quantums, the Sirius star system, or the Sirius projection of your mind. It does not matter. Eugenics and ethical violations. Satan's selective breeding process is a form of eugenics, which is a program into manipulating human reproduction to achieve desired traits. This practice sparks ethical concerns for our timeline now, because it entails valuing certain human characteristics over others, which cause us to be led to discrimination and dehumanization, literally and figuratively. Now, inhumane treatment. The elimination of darker skinned offspring represents a brutal disregard for human life. The ideologies that I, Yakub, ego, did and do highlight how cruel and how much compassion we lack, which was inherent in these experiments. People are and were treated as mere means to their ending, which just began. And for one, Yakub, so our ego, we got kicked out. And the thing is too, did I put that on here? I did. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm moving too fast. But we got kicked out of, so that's basically Mecca. So Yakub originated from Mecca to Saudi Arabia. But that's why I had this picture right here on the maps. Because when he originated from right here, when he got kicked out, boom, had to go to Patmos, and that's where he was able to begin his experiments, because for one, he wasn't wanted in his area anymore, because people knew what he was doing. And the thing is, he was already at the Christ consciousness because he was just that gifted. Not only that, he's a fallen angel, and he was misguided by fallen angels as well, but we'll talk about that later on. But yes, he put people through basically an inhumane treatment. So it's like the Holocaust. So it's like a gas chamber. Imagine putting somebody into a gas chamber, a man and woman, and he's telling them, if you don't procreate, I'm going to place these different poisonous toxins into this chamber, and if you don't breathe with each other, you're all going to perish and die, and your bloodline will die as well. Racial hierarchies. By creating distinct races and attributing value to lighter skin, Yakub's experiment broadcasts harmful racial hierarchies. This idea perpetuates the notion that form racial superiority and inferiority, and from BCE till now, it has led billions to systematic racism and oppression, meaning that the deities, the skin colors, the elites, the elite parasites that govern us came from this format, because they were able to not only, I hate the word shapeshift, but they were able to, because they were formless, so they were able to form themselves into a different vessel, so a lighter vessel from our complexion, which is why we have a bunch of people that practice racism, because for one, nobody can be racist, but you practice racism. And the thing is too, because they were programmed by parasites as well, Yakub made the pale complexion or Europeans out of hate and lust, out of ignorance, out of envy and jealousy, which is why when they were born, when they got exiled into the Caucasus Mountains, they came in, they dispersed, they went out into different landmarks, and they started to enslave people because they knew their history. Because for one, Moses guided them to the water, but never made them drink that. That's a whole different story too. Social and moral chaos. The resulting societal destruction from Yakub's experiment shows the destructive consequences of messing with human genetics without considering the broader social and moral implications. Our actions led to deep division, conflict, and long-term suffering. Meaning that when Yakub did that, all these, and you can see it today, you can go, and the thing is too, I ain't gonna say it changed because history repeats itself, but we had to understand too, if I look at a European, you're not my enemy, but you can be the enemy. Why? Because I know what you did to my ancestors, but that does not mean I'm going to sit here and walk around hating on you. No, but just know if you try some shit, if there was a war and the oppressors told me, you pick a side and you go fight for that side for this warfare, what will you do? I'm going on a side that looks just like me, because it is what it is. After what y'all did to my ancestors, I can't ever forget that shit. Now, of course, I forgive because you're programmed, but I will never forget that shit. No matter what, I'm going to fight for my people, because we are always going to be enslaved. Not only that, though, it's hard to fight for the ignorant when they're still ignorant. And that means my people as well, because we're so A lot of our people are so programmed into the ignorance of their own practices and their trauma behind closed doors. Thank Yakub for that as well, because he understood that he was already ahead of time. So he wasn't planning for just tomorrow or the next. No, he was planning for centuries up until now. Not only that, it's a spiritual essence or a spiritual being, meaning that in his mind, he was already at the enlightenment to the point to where he said, I'm going to have to fixate these different, so I'm gonna have to get my people, I'm gonna have to manipulate them somehow, some way. I'm gonna have to wield their energy, be a false prophet, teach some prophecies or parables. I'm gonna teach them some shit to the point where they're gonna follow me. So he had Daniel 60,000 followers follow him to his island so that he could get his experiments going. And people didn't really understand that till it was too late. And so that's when they were enslaved themselves, because they could have left whenever they wanted, but they didn't know where else to go because they were always misguided. Not only that, Yakub was misguided as well. And the thing is too, we can still blame God for that enlightenment. Why? Because for one, God is a title placed upon consciousness subconsciously. So subconsciously, Yakub knew that, okay, because he's our complexion. And the thing is too, you can do your own research on this as well, because the Elijah Muhammad, he made a book on that as well. And two, you can Google that as well. But Yakub knew that, for one, dehumanization of science. Yakub's actions illustrate the dark side of scientific pursuit when devoid of ethical considerations. This egoistic thought is serving a cautionary indication about the journey, or how the journey for knowledge and control over nature has become malevolent, and it disregards the intrinsic value and dignity of all human beings, literally and figuratively. So let's get into that too. All right, the plan and the agenda given to him by programming of puppet masters. Yakub's plan was and still is to create a race of people who would be the opposite of the first people created in the first human trials, leading to the creation of pale people. Once again, the recruitment of followers, acting like they weren't programmed under occultism. He gathered 59,999 followers and took them to the island of Patmos, where they would be isolated from the etheric people. Meaning that, so it's like, if you know how in the cartoons, the people who are going on like a hike or they're going away from their home, they got the little stick with that colorful, it's like not a bow, but it's like a cloth. It's like red and white, like red and, I'm gonna have a picture on the screen, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, you put something in there and then you get the stick and you just walk. So you're basically hiking wherever you gotta go. That's exactly what they did. And the thing is too, Yakub was light years ahead of these people anyway. So we, even back then, because people gotta think about it too, history repeats itself every single day. We are still in these times as well, because these are nothing but quantum timelines. So we are all particles in a quantum physics standpoint. So you gotta understand quantum physics to understand that. But because we have these particles, we're too distracted by the now. Because we're distracted by the now, we don't understand that we still exist in the Egyptian time period. We exist in the enslavement time period. We exist all over these dimensions. So we have many different occurrences and different timelines. So that's why I said earlier, if you believe in 2024, you're still asleep. You're still enslaved to timelines, because timelines don't even exist to the Almighty Creator. That's why I said in a previous video before too, what time are we in? What timeline are we actually in? Because time does not even exist to time. So if you ask time, what time is it? What timeline are we in? It wouldn't even talk back to you. So that's how ignorant we are. And so when I showed this picture right here once again, when they had to exile, so our people, our higher ups in our villages as well, when he left, when he had to get kicked out of Saudi Arabia and all that, or Mecca, he knew, honking the horn, he already knew what was going to happen. He prophesied that. And the thing is too, he meditated on that and he did his shadow work. And the thing is, I say that too, it's like, he was a mad scientist. He was an experimenter. And the thing is, he knew that if he was able to get our people to go with him, he could do anything he wanted, because we were going to follow the leader, because we didn't know anybody. We didn't know any indication of what. No, actually, I lied. Some of us knew how to go in, but some of us didn't, because once again, history repeats itself. I'm going to keep saying that because we live in a time period right now to the point to where we got people, you can go on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even in real life. We got sundown towns in America, but in God we trust. So we're trusting God, but yet we got people who are still racist. How are you upset because of another person's skin color when they can't control their pigmentation? You're mad. And the thing is too, that's the problem. Europeans, Caucasians, most of them cannot accept that we are the original beings of this planet. We exist because, for one, we are the soil. We were the beginning and the ending of the beginning of time. You were as well before you became a Caucasian. Not only that, they were jealous. They were envious of who we were and how tall we were, how big we were. Our third legs swinging by our thighs and shit. Women are beautiful. They understood that. But now they look at themselves in the mirror. Their hair is thin. They got thin lips. Their eyes are colorful, but that's about it. Like, they don't have much muscle mass. They couldn't levitate like us. They didn't know hieroglyphs. They had to make their own language. Not only that, they weren't able to dark magic, light magic. We were teaching them so much esoteric and etheric knowledge, quantum knowledge, spiritual knowledge. We were so enlightened beyond a cosmic consciousness that we had to dumb ourselves down to guide them, and that was the problem right there. They introduced themselves with a, hey, how you doing? My name is so-and-so. Coming up with languages that never made sense to us. They were talking in their own Germanic language because the basically Europeans, I don't think I say Germans, but Europeans made English, but they knew what they were doing when they were exiled into the Caucasus Mountains as well in Europe. Let's keep on going. Selective breeding. Make sure the time is all good. Selective breeding process. Over the next 200 years, Yakub and his followers engaged in the deliberate process of selective breeding. They would breed the lighter skinned offspring with each other and get rid of the darker skinned offspring, doing many deceitful acts upon our bloodline. Literally and figuratively. Meaning that if you were, so it's just like how Hitler would get rid of blonde hair, blue eyes. If you were dark skinned, if you look like me or darker than me, you was out of here. You was exiled. You disintegrated because he wanted our beings to get lighter and lighter and lighter. Once we got lighter, he was eliminating. Oh my God, it was so crazy what he was doing. Let's just keep on going. Deliberate dehumanization. Yakub's process involves seeing humans purely as genetic material that can be manipulated, disregarding their intrinsic worth and humanity. This dehumanization we practice is a fundamental evil, tearing down people to become pawns for us to achieve specific outcomes. Can't make this stuff up, and make sure you're taking notes too. And that's the thing as well. So I like that because when I put, he's seen humans, and that's the thing, we're not humans, but we are all almighty. So we're not the almighty creator, but we are the creation of the almighty creation, or the almighty creator's creation. We done ourselves down to pretend to be a human being. Because of that, Yakub seen us as material so that we could be experimented on. So we were like toys to this nigga. And he was just playing around with us because he was so far ahead. We went to him for advice. We went to him for what to do in life. And he already knew what to do in life. And that's the problem right there. Satan made sure that when this entity knew what to do, we had to come to it for advice because we didn't know how to go within. We were so fixated on believing that this being knew what it was doing that we basically shot ourselves in the foot. And then on top of that, even with slavery, where do you think this program came from? And on top of that, the beings that enslaved us, even to this day, they are not real people. On top of that, to my Caucasians, to my Europeans, they are not, like, no offense, I'm not saying you're not real, but you are not a real species. I'm not trying to degrade your being. I'm not trying to degrade your existence, but we have to speak truth with truth. We're so used to seeing a white Jesus, white Santa Claus. Our anime is whitewashed. Our movies are whitewashed. But when it comes to seeing carbonated beings in the movie, Boys in the Hood, fucking Drumline, Stomp the Yard, but there's so many, The Matrix, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, there's so many, like A Pursuit of Happiness, that was black, but it's just like, we had to see movies, and I'm gonna have a variety of movies playing, but there are so many movies to where we got our people getting shot, getting stabbed, getting killed, trauma with women, having babies, thinking like a man. We got comedies where people think that shit is funny, but it's not. We got comedians being in these movies so that we can feel comfortable with the people that we're used to seeing. But we had to sell out to be heard or to get attention. But with these white people, they do the same exact shit as well. But life is given to them. But the thing is too, to my Europeans as well, just because you're not a real species does not mean you're not a real species to the Almighty Creator. Why? Because you are energy. Not only that, your bloodline made sure that you weren't going to get ahead as well, because the beings that govern you as well, they enslave your ass too. So you're not better than us. And that's the problem too. People will sit there and deem themselves as God because you're a European. But don't get shit twisted. These reptilians, these Arcturians, these avians, these blonde Nordics mock you. They envy you as well, really the non-ether beings, but they mock you to the point to where they got you going to school. They got you working. But yet you're worried about carbonated beings to the point to where us non-ether beings, we're so fixated on pleasing these people that we go to war with each other. We kill each other and they laugh about it. We are our own worst enemy. Not only that, when we see a white person talking down about us, we get mad or offended. Let them, they had to observe our lifestyle. We are their entertainment. That's exactly why some people who are brought from them shits from Africa, they did that for a reason. Not only that, most of us were already here, so that's why you can't say, oh, I'm African. Nigga, you were born in America. You were born in Texas. You were born in Georgia. You are not African. Stop saying that. On top of that, you are not a Hebrew Israelite. You are not Hebrew. You are not a Jew, none of that, because these are titles placed upon your consciousness, God. Therefore, call us by our name. So if somebody says, if you're not black, if you're not African, if you're not Hebrew, if you're not a Jew, what, if you're not Egyptian, what are you? You, I am that I am. You are God. Call us by our name. You are made in its image. Not only that, the Arkans made you in their image as well, because they have no creativity. Nigga. Systematic elimination. The selective breeding process required the systematic elimination of darker skinned beings. This was a representation of a ruthless disregard for human life. This act of culling based on arbitrary traits is an egregious violation when it comes to ethical and moral principles. Forced reproduction. That's the thing too, systematic. So it's like, for example, he could have lined up 10 carbonated beings. If you weren't deemed fit, if you weren't strong, if you didn't have a nice body, if you didn't look good, and you couldn't procreate with this being right here, you were done. He was going to kill you immediately, because it was a systematic process for him to eliminate himself to get the proper formula to build the race that he wanted. So the red race, the yellow race, and the pale race as well. But we'll get into that later on. So forced reproduction. My fault. I'm over here fighting bugs and shit, man. No cap. So followers have been manipulated into being compelled to participate in a controlled breeding program, stripping them. Yo, what the fuck is that? Oh my goodness, what the hell? Yo, come on, fam. Fly away. I don't know, that's a mosquito. I don't know what the hell that was, but anyways. All right, so yeah, compelled into, okay, controlled breeding program, stripping them of their autonomy. Yo, what is that? Yo, you gotta move, fam. You gotta move. Hold on, man. I'm about to kill this shit. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Come near me. No. Come on. Where you at, baby? Oh yeah, you right here. I swear to God. I got my iPad in here. Damn, oh my goodness. All right, good, we good. All right, flew away. Let's keep on going. I'm over here fighting demons, man. My fault, y'all. Distracted. All right, their autonomy and universal right to make personal reproductive choices. This coercion is a severe infringement on the individual's freedom and bodily integrity. All right, so now, when he did that, he forced, and it's basically like rape, to be honest, and molestation as well. So it's like, even in slave times too, so like even in earlier slave time periods, our own people did the exact same program that Yakub did. So there were many women and many men as well. If people were, let's say, intelligent back then, even now, they would make sure that you're gonna be forced to reproduce. If you don't, you're dead. On top of that, even with kids too, a lot of times, and what's crazy, there was no mercy for nobody. Kids, teenagers, preteens, young adults, elders, all of that. If you were not going to reproduce for my genetic formula, I am going to eliminate you, because you have no need for me. That's how deceitful this nigga was. He was literally Satan in Lucifer's enlightenment. Ew. The hell was that? Lucifer's enlightenment. Creation of divisions. The selective breeding process sowed seeds of division and more conflict. This artificial intelligence of a creation of racial distinctions laid the groundwork for deep societal rifts and enduring prejudice. I already covered that earlier, but thank him for that, because the lighter the skin color or the lighter the mindset, the more ignorant people became. And that's what's crazy too. Imagine looking at your skin color and you're ashamed about how dark your skin looks. Who do you think came up with that? Because it wasn't the Almighty Creator. So you can be dark like midnight. There's some people who will look and they'll be like, I hate my skin. It's like, damn. Imagine who taught you how to think like that. Because it wasn't the Almighty Creator. I promise you it wasn't. All right, legacy of racism. Damn, we almost done with this. Oh yeah, okay. We almost done. Not really, but yeah. Legacy of racism. The process perpetuated notions of racial superiority and inferiority, embedding these destructive ideas into societal consciousness. The legacy of racism has caused immense suffering, discrimination, and violence throughout history, demonstrating the long-lasting evil of such practices that we all follow unconsciously. It's exactly where this shit came from. So superiority and inferiority. When these Caucasians, when these pale people, all these different ethnic skin colors, when they came and seen us, they felt inferior to our superiority. Because for one, they were observing us from a different enlightenment. Excuse me. Meaning that for one, when they were watching us, they already had it in their mind that for one, and that's the thing too, because we were already in our own heaven. And the thing is too, our chaos was our heaven. Our destruction was our heaven. So all these dark magic, voodoo, hoodoo, hex, all these curses that people think is bad, we deemed it as good. We did that for our own people, for our own practices, for us to elevate into a higher consciousness. But these other races or these other ethnicities, they seen that when they were observing us, taking down notes. They were saying to themselves, for one, we gotta do that shit. But then when they understood that, they already had envy in their heart. They already had their blood always boiled to the point to where when they seen us, they were just like, okay, we gotta make sure that when we study their consciousness, we gotta be able to manipulate their own consciousness centuries beyond, because these weren't regular people. These were nothing but fallen angels watching us as the watchers, making sure that we're not able to watch our higher self in our current moment. The creation of new races. Through this process, the first race created was the brown race, followed by the yellow race, the red race, and finally the white race. So meaning that white people, you were dead last into being created. I can't make this shit up. Do your own research. Now the brown race, meaning us. So it's like we were all ether, all, basically all carbonated beings, all matter, because we matter into matter. Because before there was Lucifer, there was Almighty's ignorant thought process. But the Almighty can't be ignorant because it's always going to be conscious of its own unconsciousness. The brown race. So today, now mind you, and these are basically separate. And the thing is too, we're all the same. Like, we're not the same, but we're the same. So it's like, if you see it's like a giraffe and a lion. Like, we're spiritually the same, but physically differences. So brown race. So today, this group is associated with the people of South Asian, Middle Eastern, and Hispanic Latino descent. Ethnicities: Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi or Bangladesh, Arab, Persian, Latino, and others. Yellow race. Today, associated with the people of East Asia or East Asian descent. Ethnicities: Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, Filipino, and others. Red race. Mind you, as he's doing this, he is, for some, and the thing is too, you had to go like meditate on this shit, but he was literally in he's on the island in Patmos, so in Greece. He's splicing so much DNA, he's getting so many colors of the spectrum that he's making different hues of man, prototypes in a different laboratory that people could not see or comprehend. That's why we have grays, we have science. That's why science is a thing now, because the people that followed his teachings live today. So science is Satan. Red race today, associated with the indigenous people of the Americas. So that would basically be us as well. So Native American tribes, Navajo, Cherokee, First Nations, Inuit, and others. White race, associated with people of European descent, Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, Germanic, Slavic, Mediterranean, others. Development and spread. After 600 years, the white race was fully developed. Yakub's opposite of attraction through the laws began to spread across the plane of existence, integrating and eventually dominating other populations, literally and figuratively. So think about that, 600 years. Europeans were made 600 years after his enlightenment. And once that happened, that's when their mind was fully formed. And to him, duality, yin and yang, was like his whole fruition. So he was mainly focused on that as well. And he knew that the Europeans, the Caucasians, they were going to dominate other races because they had one thing. If they were inferior physically, they had one thing, mentally. That's exactly why some people, some women, they'll please the white man. They'll go date a white man because they know the white man got money. He doesn't act like the black man, and that the white man will just, he has so much money for some reason, because for one, the world is given to this nigga since he was born, that our carbonated sisters, they will say, fuck these niggas, and they'll go to a white man that she can be pleased by because she wants to get spoiled. Shit crazy. The legacy. The teachings that are open book prophesies that this new race created by Yakub will rule the original people for a period, leading to social upheaval and conflict. Symbolic representation of duality. Yakub represents a principle of duality and a creative force of change. In esoteric foundations, duality is a fundamental concept. It is symbolized in a balance of opposing forces. Slaughter breeding symbolizes the conscious manipulation of duality, using the light and dark aspects of human nature to create a new balance for this holographic system of energetic patterns. The island of Patmos. The island represents a place of seclusion and concentrated spiritual and scientific work. Isolation symbolizes a period of inner work and transformation. Patmos is a metaphor for a spiritual or mental plane where higher knowledge and experimentation always takes place. If you went there, you'd be able to actually see the descendants of Yakub's teachings, and they're still there doing whatever they gotta do as well. And some people, they'll be like, man, I went there before, I didn't see that shit. Well, that's because you're not a scientist for one, and two, you're not enlightened to go see that. Because if you went to go see that, you may get off. Because I'm sure the government protects those teachings as well, because Yakub is and was the government's enlightenment. The process of creation. Selective breeding, genetic splicing represents the alchemical process of transformation, where base materials, original dark-skinned people, are refined into a new substance. White people, meaning that, for one, I can't make this shit up. The process of creation. I'm gonna read that one more time. Selective breeding, genetic splicing represents the alchemical process of transformation, where base materials, original dark-skinned people, are refined into a new substance. White people, meaning that white people, you come from us, meaning that we made you who you are today. I'm not saying that to degrade you, but you cannot sit here and get mad at us for wanting us to get our enlightenment back. And that's the problem right there. Meaning Caucasians will get mad when you know your history, to where they'll deem you as stupid. Not only that, our own people will get mad if you know your own history more than them. They'll say, you're ignorant, you're dumb. You're teaching people this false ideology, this or that. You're ignorant, that's nonsense. I didn't learn that. Nigga, we will never learn the same exact shit, but I lied to you through my truth. Why is that? Because for one, everything in this dimension is a false holographic code of patterns of light codes and dark codes combined together in a simulated format that we call reality, or informational simulated information that we deem as real. But what is real in a world full of nonfiction or fiction of different formats of fictional illusions that our thought is trying to process? Therefore, before you became white, my brother, my sister, that is a sixth ether being, even my Jews as well, the fake Jewish people, yes, you come from us. That's exactly why there are some white people who will do what? Try to be just like us, talk like us, rap like us. You get into the rap industry, what do we do in the rap industry? We come and bring them along on our train, and then they steal our whole evolutionary process. And what do? We idolize them and we sell ourselves out to give these people more enlightenment, because damn, you're doing what I want to do, but you just look so good doing it because you're white. I wish I was white. There are some people out here in this world who are Uncle Ruckus. They want to be white so bad. They hate the skin color that they're actually in, not knowing that your mind is projecting your pigmentation of what you thought you looked like. But in the afterlife, your skin color does not matter, because you are a transparent being, meaning that you're so divine. For example, if we go into the afterlife right now and I ask you, what does your skin color look like? I'm standing right in front of you. What does it look like? Exactly. It's transparent, my nigga. This is an allegory for spiritual evolution and transformation for our people. The 200 years of breeding describes a lengthy and deliberate process of refinement and purification. Practicing alchemy ties into the transformation that requires time and repeated efforts. So think about that. So for days, I'm talking about hours, days, weeks, months, years, 600 years, this nigga made sure that he spent his time and his effort fucking us over. So for my carbonated people, my Africans, not even Africans, but if you are black, if you are carbon, if you are a non-ether being, if you look just like me, Before we look like this, we look just like this. We were dark as hell, I ain't gonna lie. We were literally walking, we were basically the universe walking in a human form. But that's exactly where our trauma came into, even to this existence right now. All the hurt you feel, all the pain, the misery, the agony, that's a billion-dollar business for all these industries that we pay to see. That's why if you participate in the Olympics, if you go to the movies, if you go play their sports, if you go to their school systems, if you go to their jobs, it's like, bro, we pay to be traumatized because we can't do our own healing for free. We pay to be in trauma because we cannot heal ourselves for free. We go to a therapist because we want somebody to hear what we're going through, not knowing that we're getting scammed by somebody who can care less. But they care less so much, they act like they care because they really don't really give a fuck about how less you feel about yourself. But let me hear your problems. I get paid by the minute, by the hour anyways. And you don't know that because, of course, they won't tell you that because if they did, you wouldn't go to them anymore. Duh. The 200 years of, oh yeah, I already read that. But yeah, so all these different years, this nigga was killing us all. So it's like, if you, so I'm a man, you a woman, right? If we were in a chamber together and if we weren't breeding fast enough, if you weren't impregnated fast enough, he was killing us off. But then two, you cannot kill God because for one, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. Meaning that when he was killing us off, this nigga, he would be like, okay, like they're gone, cool, on to the next. So as he was offing us, just, I mean, boom, boom, like it was crazy too. Where do you think whipping, noose, where do you think burning, where do you think all these different enlightenments came from? It came from his enlightenment as well and his followers, to the point to where as the complexion got lighter and lighter, to where pale people actually seen him as a scientist, a mad scientist in the physical format, they bowed down to him, worshipped him like he was God, because technically speaking, he actually was Lucifer in Satan's ego. So he was actually God or Satan. Both the same entity, doesn't even matter because God is Satan. When they seen that, they were so mesmerized by his teachings, they followed it to the point to where when we get into year 1 to 2024, we see what we see today because of his teachings right now. That's how deep timelines actually get, to the point where this was 4,000 something BCE, meaning that before consciousness even existed. We existed before existence even existed right now. So before year 1, before 2024, what were you doing? You couldn't even tell me the answer, but I can tell you that because why? I existed right there with you. That's the whole entire point. The 4 races created: brown, yellow, red, and white races. Each color represents different spiritual qualities and stages of consciousness. The progression from darker to lighter symbolizes a movement towards enlightenment and a higher state of being. Brown signifies earthly wisdom and groundedness, meaning that, so for one, and we were that as well, but if you were that complexion, that means you are the soil, you are the earth. So Avatar, Last Airbender, that means that you were so wise, you will always go ground into nature. Doesn't matter what skin color you think you are. Take notes, because if you're that skin complexion, go outside and know what your skin represents, your pigmentation. Yellow denotes an intellectual clarity and mental acuity. So all these people, what's crazy, that's actually true, because most of these people who have a yellow complexion, they are born smart. They don't, if you go to like Asia, Korea, China, Japan, all them enlightenments over on the other side of the waters, they don't play games all goddamn day. When they're done with school, they go to the crib and they're reading, they're doing homework, they get straight A's immediately and they're reading. They don't have time to go to the club, they don't have time to go watch OnlyFans, they don't got time to go masturbate, they don't got time to be on the phone all night, they don't have time to even go to the gym for real. Why? Because all they have is their knowledge. They have to make their family proud. On top of that, they got so much shit going on too with their totalitarians and dictatorships. They had no time, they had nothing to do but focus on themselves and their family. Red represents vitality, passion, and life force. And white embodies purity, enlightenment, and spiritual clarity. But you see how that's an illusion right there? White. For one, if you're white, you are not white. So if you're calling yourself any of these colors, you're ignorant. And you're not ignorant, but you're practicing ignorance. Because for one, I have never seen a white person. I've seen a pale person, but not a white person. Because for one, this is white. This is white. I have not, like, for example, this would be technically a white, or like whatever olive, like whatever the fuck that is, but this is white. So I've never seen nobody walk like that. So purity, enlightenment, and spiritual clarity, they're basically, for one, if you're calling yourself white, they're mocking you by saying that, because that's an abstract color. So it doesn't even exist, first of all. This is white. Nobody looks like that in its existence. On top of that, black. Excuse me. Black. This is black. I have never seen nobody that black before. That means you will be the universe walking in human form, which you actually are. But your skin complexion will be so dark, niggas will only see your eyes and your teeth. The role of conflict and harmony. Social upheaval, meaning sudden violent change. It's a necessary chaos that precedes the establishment of a new order. Chaos precedes creation and transformation, meaning that for one, carbon, for us being in this alignment right here, chaos precedes creation and transformation, meaning that if you are in this energy right here, you are bringing creation towards your own transformation of your own alchemy within yourself. Integration and domination are a symbol for the integration of new spiritual and racial consciousness into the broader human experience, which causes friction and growth. Mystical teachings. Inner alchemy. The story is a metaphor for the inner alchemical process of transforming one's own nature, balancing the light and the dark within to achieve a higher state of being. Ascension, when it comes to creating a new race, is viewed as an allegory for our soul's journey, which helps our ego towards ascension and higher consciousness, literally and figuratively. On top of that too, when people say white people, like, and that's the thing too, there are many spiritual teachers who will say if you're a sixth ether being, if you're a Caucasian, if you're a European, you can't transcend to the higher planes because of your vessel. That does not make any fucking sense. It does not make any sense, for one, because for one, it's all energy. It's all a thought process. So if you are at divine and the thing is too, divinity has no skin color. It has no skin color. So if you are so divine to the point to where you can transcend ways of thinking, if you can see beyond the veil of the physical vessel that we hide behind, then you are already ascended in your own ascension, meaning that you use logic. And that's the thing too. People will follow spiritual leaders who talk off of ego. So they'll bash white people because of what they did. But the thing is, there are some white people who are genuinely great people. But if there was a war, I will not side with you. Why? Fuck you. I will side with my people. That's who I'm riding with. No homo. But the thing is, I'm not being homo, so you get what I'm saying. But that's just what I mean. So it's not for me to be racist because I can't be racist and neither can you. We practice racism. But I'm not going to sit here and call you different names or whatever because why? Look at your existence. It means nothing to me as a carbonated being, nigga. I'm God. I am that I am. So why would I hate you when you're God as well? My nigga, God has no skin color. So if you're arguing with a white person or Asian about what skin color God is, you're talking nothing but ignorance with no meaning in a meaningless world full of meanings that have definitions of a meaning or a title to a meaning. But what meaning are we talking about? Doesn't even matter. Doesn't matter. Like, come on, fam. That's why. And the thing is too, there is not one race because for one, the one race is literally us. We were the beginning and the ending of time. So it gets so bad to the point to where you can know so much, your own people will backstab you because of how much you know. You can make it in life to where you can be a genius, you can be intelligent, you can be ascendant. Niggas will swat your house, niggas will try to rob you, kill you, fuck your hoe, niggas will try to talk about your mom, try to sacrifice you, man. That's why when you are on this journey, you gotta understand all the things that we go through comes from our past situations and our trauma and our agony because we weren't loving ourselves correctly. That's exactly why people sell their goddamn soul for attention because Yakub did all that for attention because he could not understand how genius he actually was. He was so genius. He thought to himself, man, I'm so bored. I'm not loved. I'm going to dumb myself down, but I'm going to splice DNA to the point to where I'm going to deem myself as worthy beyond the human comprehension. That's exactly what Satan would do. That's exactly what Satan's doing right now. So all these Cabbage Patch babies, all these AI generated robots, these programmed beings walking around society that we call human beings, niggas ain't human no more. Because I promise you right now, at least 95 to 98% of society is programmed. They are robots. So people who are conscious of this shit that I'm saying right now, on a divine intervention, you are the chosen one. Meaning that you're so chosen to the point to where nothing else matters about what a robot is saying to you. People will talk about your work on the internet and then they'll do it for likes and attention because that's how they get paid. But see them in real life, they will never say a word to you in the physical sense because why? They have no sense in their physical sense. Legacy and spiritual evolution. Yakub's influence is a representation of the lasting impact for the transformative process of spiritual leaders and their teachings. The creation of these races introduces an introduction for spiritual paradigms and shifts for our collective consciousness. The rulership period concept for a new race that is still ruling for a period is interpreted as different epochs of spiritual dominance and influence. They all are bringing unique lessons and advancements. Now, I'll put I put these fallen angels right here. We're basically done for the teaching. But Azazel. So in Jewish and Islamic culture, Azazel is a fallen deity that associates itself with rebellion and corruption. Symbolically, Azazel represents the influence behind Yakub's malevolent experiments, having him or her embody their spirit of rebellion against divine order and ethical norms. Meaning that, because for one, too, you can't, not gonna say you can't, but to do this shit, to create brown, red, yellow, and pale, no. Because you and I could do that right now, but it'll take years to do that. He's doing that in so many timelines that it transitioned into this one right now. That's why they made CERN, for example. Because with CERN, you can travel to a different dimension through a portal. In Switzerland, wherever the fuck they're at, in basically across the water. But he had help from fallen deities or Nephilim, basically. These different program puppet masters from the art. And the thing is, too, he was tapped in with the Archons as well. So you might as well say he's an archonic being. So basically, Yakub is a archonic deity pretending to be a carbonated deity or a vessel, and it was acting in its own divine timing to be where it's at today. Because for one, Almighty, and the thing is too, this is all God's doing anyway, because Almighty God is so bored. Almighty had to create the Archons so that it can observe good and bad. Good, like literally. So we're all puppets to a puppet master. Lucifer, the enlightened leader of the fallen angels. Lucifer emits his energy with pride and the desire to alter the divine plan. So basically, and the thing is too, Lucifer is still Almighty God's enlightenment, meaning that in the darkness or in the astrals or the etheric planes of the vacuum of space out of your mind, the Almighty once again was so bored finding itself, it decided to become a light bearer, bearing light in its own ignorance to have a divine plan. Because for one, Almighty God is bored. Because it's bored, it needed a plan to cure its boredom and have fun while creating its own illusion. Lucifer can be viewed to be influencing Yakub to manipulate human genetics and create divisions, reflecting an inner desire to disrupt our natural order. And what's crazy too, Yakub was able to follow both of these deities right here because Yakub is a projection of those entities right there. On top of that, when he would meditate, Yakub was able to be in a Sirius star system with ascended masters projecting what he wanted to do. Meaning that, for example, when he was resting, and the thing is too, he used the followers for slaves basically. So he would put them in worse conditions as well, but they ain't gonna talk about that. But when he would go to bed at night or whatever the case may be, or he would meditate, he would astral project into the Sirius star system. And when he would do that, he was able to get into, so he would be able to get into his higher ascended master's mindset. He would learn. He would teach himself their different ways of teachings. And then he would bring it right back down to the 3D enlightenment, to the point to where he would follow these fallen angels' enlightenment because they would talk to him while he was sleeping and while he was awake. But he was so asleep, he thought that he was awake throughout his whole entire existence. I'm going to say Samael. In a Kabbalistic and Gnostic perception, Sam is a fallen angel presenting itself with severity and death. Samael is a symbol for the destructive and harsh aspects of Yakub's breeding program, helping him think of the malevolent habits that were driving us into the elimination and control of human traits. Can't make this shit up. And that's why I put these so Kabbalistic, Gnostic, so Jewish and Islamic. If you study these things right here, they'll tell you, they will give out the teaching. I can't make this shit if I try, honestly. But these different teachings will tell you why these different deities did what they were doing. They were helping Yakub form his whole desire into the now, because they wanted him to be enslaved to his teachings or his work, so that the fallen angels that we are enslaved to now can find something to do in this current time period. Belial or Baal, a part of the Christian demonology. Belial is a part of the enlightenment dealing with wickedness and lawlessness. Belial represents the chaotic and immoral aspects for Yakub's actions. These beings were influencing the disregard for ethical boundaries in his genetic manipulations before he was even born. Meaning that this entity right here, this enlightenment, already knew how wicked and how lawlessness Yakub was going to be. As a child, and for one, his head was so goddamn big. So that's the thing too. If your head is big, that means that you are actually a genius. You are actually wise. But there are deities, like for example, a Zeta Gray, for example, or Alpha Draconian Reptilian, or Artarian or a Blonde Nordic. If you see them in a physical sense, even a Dwarf Gray, their heads are so enlarged because their skulls are elongated, because they have that much wisdom. This deity knew how wise Yakub was in the womb of his mom and his dad. And when they did that, they were programming Yakub to do what he thought he was going to be doing. And he did that. But Yakub, for one, doesn't even exist, but I'll get into that after this teaching. But Asmodeus is a demon living in the frequency with lust and the corruption of human desires. Asmodeus is seen as guiding the corrupt desires and ambitions behind Yakub's experiments, leading to the exploitation and manipulation of human life that we see today. All right, let me go and stop that teaching right there. And the thing is, when Yakub was programmed by these different enlightenments, by these different deities, he decided that, back to that. Yakub was programmed before he was born. He was asleep the whole entire time. On top of that, Yakub is not a real person, not a real species, but it's a reflection of you. Yakub is a reflection of your consciousness. That's how ignorant he was. He was so ignorant, he decided to deem himself as one of us. But the thing is, though, he was mocking us because he knows who we are. But do you know who you are? You do not. That's exactly why Yakub decided to not even create us, because we were already created, but he decided to separate himself from the collective and have his own collection. Yakub is, for one, because Yakub was born. So, for example, if it was billions of us, all non-ether, and that's all we know. Yakub looked around and was like, I don't fuck with niggas, for real. I don't fuck with them, because look at what they're doing. And the thing is, he was so intelligent to the point to where he had no friends. That's why a loser. So basically, Yakub was a loser. Because why? Doing all these different things to get satisfaction out of your ego is exactly what a demon would be doing. So once this demonic program was doing this shit, he was basically telling himself, okay, I don't have any friends, for one, but I'm smart, I'm intelligent, and that's exactly why. And people feared him, and he enjoyed that. He got a thrill out of that, because if he can put fear into you, what else can he do? And then when people seen him create the different races or whatever the case may be, his followers were following him to the point to where all they knew was his teachings. All they knew was what they were teaching him. So he was so asleep that he was awake. But when he was awake, he wasn't understanding what he was supposed to be doing in his existence. But that was his purpose. So before he even got killed, because he lived to be like 100 and something years old, but before he was executed, whatever the case may be, by the Almighty's creation, he passed down these teachings to these Zeta Grays. So these reptilians, blonde Nordics, avians, Sirens, Lyrans, Orions, Syrians. He knew all of them because those are our siblings, our brothers and our sisters. And once he did that, that was when he was able to sit there and tell himself, okay, I know I'm not going to be here forever. So he worked hard day and night to make sure that in this time period right now, we would not know his teachings. So when the prophet Elijah Muhammad, when he made his teaching or his book, people still can't comprehend that shit. But once you go within and understand that you are Yakub, you are basically creating your own different genetic splicing of your own different cells beyond your cells of self. Because in quantum physics, you got to understand that everything already existed, meaning that he was able to actually see in the quantum realm. So before shrooms even existed, he was probably on shrooms as well, because before LSD, acid, weed, all that, he was already tapped into himself. So he would be on shrooms, he would be high out of his mind. But when he was high out of his mind, he was able to sit there and comprehend his own time. Not only that, he was contradicting it, and he used logic as well. And because he did that, people couldn't see his vision, but they accepted it, and he was a celebrity to these people. And when Moses went to the mountain, we went to the Caucasus Mountains, and he seen the cavemen for what they were, because for when we are Moses as well. But when he seen the Caucasians, when he seen the Caucasus people in the Caucasus Mountains, he guided them out of the caves. And once he did that, he gave them the teachings that we taught him as well, because we are Moses also. But Moses never existed. On top of that, Moses is them. So because Moses knew that those were his people as well, he And the thing is too, in the Bible, they're not going to tell you what Moses was actually doing, but contradict everything, question everything. Because when Moses was teaching the Caucasians what they know now, that's exactly what they're doing right now. Because they made the Bible what it is today. Not only that though, the Bible comes from Satan. So you can say Yahweh, you can say the God of the Bible is Satan first and foremost, or Lucifer. On top of that, we never need to read the Bible in the first place. So because we're reading it, we're reading witchcraft or spells. And because of that, we're reading nothing but, oh yeah, the police here. That's all good though. I ain't do nothing but teaching. So, but when they did that, we're reading nothing but witchcraft, demonology through English. And people can't understand the etymology of English or words because words are spells. And once Yakub taught these deities that, what did Moses do? Moses did what he did. He transcended, went to the mountains of a higher enlightenment, brought them down to a lower level that other people are at. And once he did that, he knew that, okay, they're going to do this or that, but Moses wouldn't stop them from doing what they were going to do. So once the Caucasians and so once the Caucasians and the fake Jews, once they knew what they would be doing to our people, that's when shit went left. It went left, basically. And then the Caucasians, they basically like dispersed from their enlightenment. They made their own history. Once they made their own history, they decided to get mad about shit that never existed, first of all. So because they were already enslaved, and the thing is too, we got to understand as well. So with pirates, when a lot of these Caucasians, when they were enslaved by pirates and shit like that too, they were projecting what they were taught. So, and what's crazy, because I forgot the name of these pirates. I'm gonna Google it, but I'm gonna have the teaching. I'm gonna have the screenshot, whatever. But our people, our descendants, they enslaved white people as well. And then once white people seen that, and they were on ships, they were enslaved, they were raped, molested, all that, from young to old. When they got free from that enslavement, oh, it was up. Oh, it was up. We like revenge, envy, jealousy, trauma, like all of the agony, pain. Come on, man. Sadness, depression, man. It was all hell for them. Once they got out of our enslavement, because our people did enslave white people as well. And then once they came to Africa, America, all of that, once Christopher Columbus, when he came on his spaceship, because for one, Christopher Columbus did not have a ship that you thought it was, but he was guided by higher deities. And once he was guided by because for one, how can you find land with no GPS? You telling me you made a map and you knew that this landmark was where it was, and you went to America and you took over the land, talking about you're the founder of Americas or whatever the case, wherever you landed? No, you are not, my nigga, because we were here first. And then once he lied about that, these fallen angels, these different deities or these parasites that look up to these niggas who made them leaders of like Columbus Day, for example. But the people that look up to these niggas, they gave him a day. Not only that though, they taught Columbus what he knew. And then once Moses and then all the ancestors of the Caucasians, once they knew their history and they made it up, they passed it down to us. And then they enslaved us to the point to where if we weren't able to, for one, they said we couldn't even read or write. Because why? They were speaking spells. And they used our own history, our own teachings against ourselves, because they knew how intelligent we were. They know who we are, but do you know who you are? They removed our history because that's how mad they were at us. That's exactly why I am not your enemy, but I can be your enemy if you try me. But that's not the whole point of this existence. We are so divided that we don't understand the true enemy is our government. It's our system. It's these hierarchies that we don't get to see, our shadow government. You can say any different Illuminati fraternity that you want to, but the Illuminati is not just one fraternity. It's a multitude of different groups that you've never seen before. They exist in the Vatican, the Bilderberg group, the Rothschilds. There's so many other groups, the 13-year-old families that you've never seen before. I'm talking about enlightenments that you can never comprehend. Imagine being in a conference room with deities who can open your mind, and they're not even touching you in this time period right now. It'll blow your whole perception to the point to where you can't even speak on what you're seeing, because if you do, they will disintegrate your whole existence. I love you. Have a great day, God and Goddess.